So before we bring Bob onto the show, let's give him the proper introduction that he absolutely deserves. So here's Bob Loeffler. Bob Loeffler is an international speaker, coach, trainer, and podcaster. Bob is also the creator of Fearless Agent Coaching. No other real estate sales coaching program has ever come close to producing the results that Fearless Agent Coaching clients enjoy, and you are about to see why. After 5 long failure-packed years as a new in real estate, fortunately, Bob learned the absolute secret to sales. He then enjoyed amazing success and now teaches that same secret to you. Bob coaches realtors all over North America how to get rich selling real estate and company owners how to recruit producing agents. The skills, schedule, and system of the Fearless Agent is all that is needed for permanent change in any real estate profession. Bob has done stand-up comedy and is the host of the funniest real estate podcast ever. So be prepared to laugh while we learn together with Bob. Please help me in welcoming Bob Loeffler to the show. Bob, come on in, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes, Bob, thank you.
I just want to start by saying that was the snappiest introduction with the video stuff I've ever had.
All right, good. I'm glad we can do that for you.
Less than. I need a better background with the books I haven't read here. You know, unbelievable.
I like books, and they definitely behind you make you look really, really smart.
They really do, and that's why we have the fake props. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, that's good. Welcome to the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here.
Well, first of all, Century 21. I don't know if you know this or not, but I was a Century 21 agent the whole time I was an agent in real estate. So I'm a major league fan of the brand, and your company is fantastic. And if you guys are already at Century 21 Advantage, you should stay there forever. And I look back, and that's one of the great choices I made is I didn't jump around and change companies. I got to the right company in the beginning and stayed there forever. So.
Oh, that's a very good point. I mean, that's how you build a brand. That's how you build a business. Thank you for Bob for that. I really do appreciate that. That was great. So let's start.
Go to high school with this nice lady that you have here, your agent.
Yeah.
Which is so. Tell the story about her. That's going to be our little secret.
Yeah, that's true. We might, if you hang out to the end of the show, we might
we will. Yeah, after.
We might just pop you guys back in and just have a good little conversation.
Gracious. Okay.
Well, Bob, let's start off with this. I mean, you touched a little bit about where you worked at first in real estate, but I always like to find the origin story. Like what led you through this process that ultimately led you into getting to be the Fearless Agent Coach. So walk us through that journey a little bit, your background and where you are now.
I was a high school dropout. I'm an 8th grade graduate, but I didn't make it through high school, and then I never went to college. So I had a bunch of dead-end jobs. I worked in restaurants and stuff like that. And I was working in a camera shop, and this lady that was a customer, she would come in with her little gold jacket on, and I said, "Hey, you're in real estate." And I see these ads in the one ads that said, "We can train you to sell real estate." She goes, "Oh my gosh, you would be great in real estate." And so I took her advice. I got into real estate, and I proved her wrong for 5 years. I failed miserably in real estate. So, I get into real estate. I'm a high school dropout. I'm a biker. I got a big afro. My real estate car is a Harley. So I'm poised for success, and I had, I think, a typical career path in real estate, which was 5 years of super underperforming. And then I went to a sales training program, and I was sitting next to this lady who had 6 months in the business, no listings, no sales, no closings, no hope of succeeding, really. And I turned to her and I said, "This thing is different. If we do this, this will work." So it was a Floyd Wickman Sweat Hogs is what it was called.
Yes.
I've taken that program.
Yeah, so it was the first time that I had ever actually been taught real sales. So I don't know what all those other coaches that are out there, I don't know what they teach, but I know it has nothing to do with sales. And if you learn sales, you're going to be a lot better off. So we we end up taking that course. It's a 90-day thing. And at the end of that, she had 19 listings and I had listings and sales and listings of mine that sold and closings totaling 50. So it was like overnight success.
Wow.
So we kept retaking that course, and then one thing leads to another. And I've had every job in the real estate industry except the owner. I was never like Steve Robinson's job. I've never had that, but I've been the bottom agent. I've been the top agent. I've been the men's room attendant. I've been the manager, the broker, the trainer, the recruiter. You know, I've done all that. And it kind of gave me a unique perspective and skill set. And really one of my favorite things is actually recruiting, you know, which is what you do. I think. Mm-hmm. And then, so I train company owners how to recruit producing agents. And then we have a coaching program that gets the highest level of success of any coaching program. Nothing else has ever even come close. And it's because we teach the opposite of what all the other coaches teach. So there is no rapport building baloney. There is no, your big why is not going to be a part of it. It is a how-to step-by-step formula that always works. If it's a good fit for anybody, they're going to get rich. That's a guarantee. And if it's not, then we'll still help you in other ways. So pretty risk-free. And then we have a podcast, you know, at the Fearless Agent. If you go to fearlessagentpodcast.com, they can hear all that stuff. And
check that out, guys. And is that on every podcast hosting site? I would assume Apple, iTunes, and so forth. Yeah. So guys, check that out. Fearless Agent Podcast.
Yeah. Good. And you have videos on YouTube as well, right?
Oh, we've got YouTube videos. I forgot about that.
Yeah. That's where I see most of it.
I'm like a movie star on YouTube.
You are.
That's right. You are.
Well, it looks like this. What are you going to do? I mean,
become a movie star. Absolutely.
Of course.
So, and we'll have links. I'll put a link to the podcast and your YouTube channel in the description of this show and your individual video that we also edit and upload later. So, and just, so I'm going to go back just 1 second because the Afro Motorcycle. Okay. So you said it. Yeah. You've got a little bit of evidence of that. Is that possible for you to show that on screen?
Did
you move your phone?
Stage. I was having a hard time picturing it, but
he had a picture on his phone.
That evidence has been destroyed before we went on air. My phone. Where's my phone?
That's great. I mean, it was awesome. He had the Afro. He was on a bicycle, so he might not be able to show it. I'm a witness of it.
Motorcycle.
A bicycle? Are you nuts?
Oh, a bicycle. Oh yeah, it's you're 70 in 79, right? Is that when that was?
Yeah, it was 1879.
Oh, that's great.
Those were the bad old days.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now my wife is pacing back and forth. She can't find my phone. It's like under here somewhere. Okay.
No worries.
Pop up. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I just thought it'd be kind of cool to show that.
If she doesn't find it, it'll be fine.
For a little while.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so, your phone rings quite frequently, Bob. So
I'm sure
it'll turn up.
Oh yes, she can't find my phone. Yeah, I get it. Who are these women that become wives? They can't find. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of funny. It's like, you know, us guys. I mean, the joke is, you know, hey, honey, can you get the ketchup out of the refrigerator? You know, and we'll open that up, and we're looking everywhere, and then one gets right there on the top shelf, and then we start pulling everything out. It's in the refrigerator.
That's the first sign of Alzheimer's.
Oh, that's great.
You know, the only thing that men and women really have in common? You know what is it? They can't get along with women. She knows it's true. Jane can tell.
It's a little bit true. I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit true.
A little bit true. Let's get past that. Let's talk about real estate.
All right, let's go to real estate.
So what kept you in it, Bob? You said you had 5 years of just, you know, underperformance, and I'm sure some tough financial times. But you stuck with it and didn't give up.
I had no other skills. I had been making poverty level income all these years doing all this other stuff. Then I get into real estate, and you had to take a test and pass it and do all that, and then I'm in. And you know, I was looking around at the people that were successful, and I realized I could not copy them. They had a secret that I did not have, and it was like a rich daddy, or they were married to somebody wealthy, or they had these connections that I didn't have. And it wasn't until and I probably would have gotten out of real estate eventually, but if I hadn't met the right person to train me the right way to do the right things, I would have been a miserable failure. There's no doubt about that. And you know, I've had 1,000 paid speaking gigs all over the country, and I look at the audience, and there's always people just like me. You know, I always think this person, because they're nice, they're just decent people, they're willing to show up and put in the hours. And I was that guy. I was nice and decent, and I was willing to put in the hours. And I was trained to do the exact wrong things, which would guarantee my failure. And I did fail. And it was when I did the exact opposite of that. I'll tell you a couple of stories that would illustrate. You know, there's a guy, his name is Austin, and you can see a little video of him on my website. But he is in a country. He's in a Century 21 with 100 agents in it, in Rancho Cucamonga. And I just like saying the word Cucamonga. I don't know about you.
It is a cool name.
It's fun.
But it's a very competitive market. My daughter actually went to school there, and you know, so he signed up for my coaching, and he made the mistake of calling me when I'm on the way to do my podcast at the radio station. So this is how you become a victim. I mean, a volunteer on the show. So I've coached him for 3 weeks when he calls me, and I said, "Hey, do you want to be on the show?" You know, so on the show, I said, "Hey, you were in Mike Ferry coaching for 3 years. His whole company is, you know." And I said, "What's the most number of listing appointments you've ever scheduled in a single week in your 3 years of Mike Ferry coaching?" He said, "Well, 3. I go, well, that's pretty good. You know, in that competitive market, you schedule 3 appointments a week. That's pretty good." I said, "Well, you've coached with me for 3 weeks. How many did you schedule last week?" He said, "I took 9 listings in the last 2 weeks."
Wow.
And his whole company did not take 9 listings in those same 2 weeks. So he now, of course, is the #1 agent in that company. And that's almost always the goal I give any of my coaching students. I want you to do whatever their goal is, or the goal I give them, which is usually bigger. They almost always hit that. But I also want them to be the #1 earning agent in their location and they almost all hit it. So, you know, he'd been in the business for a number of years. He was experienced. But I have this other guy's name is Dave. And this guy calls me like 3 times a day. Great guy. And so he's a chef, full-time chef, goes to culinary school, hates his job. And he's around sharp knives, so you don't want to hate your job when you're a chef. So his buddy, who's a coaching student of mine, talks him into getting into real estate. He signs up for my coaching on his very first day in real estate. So now he is part-time. He's been in real estate for 16 weeks, and he has 12 closings or under contract in his first week, and he's part-time. And he's the #1 earning agent in a company, which is a great company, with 300 agents. Wow. So he's making more money part-time than the #1 full-time agent who's been in the business. And the reason why is he's just this guy that would say, "I'll do whatever you tell me to do, Bob." He goes, "I'm not going to have any opinions." And he's brand new, blank slate. And he, you know, his life is so much better. His wife is so much happier. He's made more money in you know, in his first 3 months, he made more money than he did in the whole year being a chef. And he's a chef in a fancy restaurant. So it's just about doing things differently. So there's a formula that makes that happen. So we can talk about that.
So and we can even get into that, because you know that's the thing is, you know, success is repeatable if you do these certain steps and these certain things to do it. It's a process, and I'm all about systems and processes.
And coffee, you got to have coffee.
Oh, you got to absolutely have coffee. I drink a lot of coffee.
This is a non-Folgers right here.
Well, is it good coffee, like Arabica beans and all that?
I don't know about that. It's coffee.
It's coffee. It's got caffeine.
I think it's coffee in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be.
So we talk about systems a lot on the show, you know, with different people come on and they're like, you got to have your systems in place and all of that. Could you tell us a little bit about your systems? And they're really sales focused, right? They're really production and sales focused.
Well, it's about the skills and the schedule and the systems of the fearless agent. So if you guys are able to take notes, I would write this down. So the formula really is, you know the problem. It's good to know what your problem is. Know yourself, who you are, and then know the process that fixes it and commit to the process, not the goal. So the main thing, people come to me because they have these. If you're a normal agent, and most of the people on this show, they wouldn't be normal, but let's pretend. Okay. So a normal real estate agent with normal real estate problems are these are the top three. So you could write them down if you want. And one is how to get business. Okay. That's what I couldn't figure out. The second one, what do I say when I get there? Okay. So both those guys that I were telling you about, they work in companies where everybody charges 4%, 5%. They both charge 7% and keep 4%. Because they know what to say when they get there. It's a different thing they're doing. They're not doing anything like what the other agents are doing. They're doing the opposite, and that's attractive in itself. And then the third one is time management. You know, not having every day look different. You know, that's crazy. You got to have every day should be, you know, sane and the same kind of boring is what you want it to be. And then the second thing, so that's the problem for most people. And then the second thing is know yourself. So let's just have all of you guys watching, just imagine that I have coached you. You're having the typical fearless agent coaching experience, which means that you would be able to walk up to a stranger listing appointment, meaning not referred to you or a past client or a friend. You'd be able to get the listing that nobody else would be able to get. You'd be able to get it at 7%. You'd keep 4%. You'd be able to get a 1-year listing, not because you need it, but because the seller trusts you and you can. And every seller will beg you to underprice their house right off the bat. Every one of your listings will sell for tens of thousands in the Kentucky market, probably tens of thousands. Not probably, definitely, at least tens of thousands of dollars, more than fair market value, more than any other agent could get them, which causes the seller to love you and send you a steady stream of referrals, of course. So you'd have the Fearless Agent listing presentation that makes that happen. You'd have the Fearless Agent pricing presentation that makes that happen. You'd have a for sale by owner presentation for those special folks. And then every buyer would eagerly want to sign the buyer broker agreement before you ever search the MLS or show a single house. They'll always use the lender you recommend. And the Fearless Agent buyer presentation makes that happen. And then you'd have an investor presentation that's for real investors. I'm talking about buy and hold, real investors with real money, not the fix and flip nitwits that went to a scammy seminar that drive you nuts. And then you're never in a face-to-face situation where you don't have the exact right words to say. You'd feel very confident, you'd be professional. And you'd have the right words to say on the phone to get yourself into as many of those situations as necessary. Like that Dave guy was talking about. He has booked 5 listing appointments a week since he was brand new, since his first week in real estate. So that being said, know yourself, okay? Let's say you're equally great at all of that stuff, because I could teach anybody those skills. That's 5 presentations, the words to say on the phone. I mean, you could be a trained chimpanzee and learn that stuff. It's not hard. I'm a high school dropout. I'm not going to teach you anything complicated. So anybody could learn it. But let's say you were equally great at all those skills. And let's say the money happened to be the same either way. Now, the lifestyle would be remarkably different. But if the money happened to be exactly the same either way, and you had to do listings only or buyers only, what would you pick? Just from a personal preference. And by the way, there is no right answer. I coach a lot of people that say, I never want to take a listing. I have people that say, I never want to put a buyer in my car. Some do both, of course. You don't have to pick. But it's good to know who you are. Now, most people who come to me, Adam, what do you think they chose?
Buyers, but
no,
typically they chose listings.
Sellers. Most people who come to me for coaching, yeah, you're right that most people get into real estate and they immediately gravitate towards buyers because it really doesn't take skill to open doors, let people in houses, and then they love it and they're going to buy it with you or without you. That doesn't really take any skill. To do that properly, though, and make sure they get the best house of all the houses, that does take skill. So most people that come to me are lazy and they say, you know, I'd rather just do sellers and and the money wouldn't be the same. You'd make twice as much money if you did sellers only. But if you're equally great at all those skills, if you'd rather do buyers only, then I recommend that. You should. You'll make more money if you do that. So part of it is just knowing who you are.
Well, I think that's great advice because, you know, like coaching track and field and coaching runners.
Now, there's I know nothing about.
Yeah. I'm glad I could insert it.
Unless I'm running from the cops. I'm very fast. Oh, my wife will tell you that. You
got a little bit of a motivator. Yeah. But I mean, in comparison to that, though, this is the thing is you're going to have sprinters and you're going to have distance runners. And if you're trying to get one to do the other, the skill set's just not there, or the passion for it or the willingness to learn it or adapt to it is just not going to be there. So you're almost trying to force somebody to do something they're just not naturally good at. So I think you're right. Knowing your weakness. I mean, if I was to say what I do when I coach not only agents and staff, but also athletes, it's knowing they need to know their weaknesses. And I need, as a coach, to observe those weaknesses because that's where I'm going to know where I can implement and help. So that's where a coach really comes alongside the person. They're coming in there to address the weaknesses. People know their strengths typically. They might know what they're kind of naturally good at. They might still need some coaching on that, but it's the weaknesses that you're trying to expose and help them along with. So now, knowing yourself,
that's a good list of what I'm bad at. Now, my wife is going to get that list right now. It's comprehensive. I mean, quite a long list. Maybe we don't have time for that on the show.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Now, you know, the other thing is all the money that you're not making now as a real estate agent, okay, is going to come from the following sources. So I would have you guys write this down. So one would be calling your sphere of influence, people who know you, acquaintances of yours, family members, whatever, asking them for referrals proactively. Okay. So we give you the perfect words to make that a very comfortable call. It's also comfortable for the people you're calling to say yes, or no. The other would be cold calling up and down the street through neighborhoods, asking people if they want to sell their house. There's door knocking if the weather is permitting. There's calling for sale by owners. There's calling expired and canceled listings. There's holding open houses. And there is not one other thing that will ever make you any real money. And anybody who tells you differently is either stupid or they're a con man trying to sell you some crap, really. So that's where the big bucks is going to come from. And again, all this other stuff, social media and all that baloney, that'll work to make you this much money. But I'm talking about this much money. I'm talking about a lot of money. So let's pretend that you're equally great at all of those things, okay? And let's pretend now in your market, because I know your average sales price there, and I coach people there, in that market, if you were, let's pretend that all of those things would pay you $250,000 net taxable income or $500,000 gross close commissions per year, okay? So if you're equally great at all those things that I just had you write down, they all pay the same, they all work equally well. I always say the secret to life is not doing what you love. Because even that will become boring someday.
Passions change, yeah.
It's about avoiding what you hate. Yeah, the passion goes away pretty quick in real estate. Honestly, like I've had 1,000 paid speaking gigs. People think that's a glamour job. It's another Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which I wrecked in Atlanta. I totaled one. It's another Holiday Inn Express, where I am a platinum member. It's another flight. You know, it's boring. It's the same stupid jokes you're hearing today. This is all pre-prepared. You know, so at some point it will become boring. So you want to avoid what you hate is the secret. So all those things that you just wrote down, are there any of those things you would not do for $500,000 gross closed commissions? That's the question. So, you know, cross out the one you wouldn't do. If you're great at it and it works fantastic and it pays $500,000 a year, which would you not do? So some people would say, oh, I'm not going to door knock because the weather's not always good. That's true. You can cross that one out, right?
Yeah.
But if my coaching is a good fit for people, I always say, you know, you got to be the type of person, you know, we have this figured out. You know, there are some coaches who say, well, you could do this or you could do that. And those coaches don't even know what they're doing. We have this figured out. Everybody who does exactly what I tell them to do gets rich. There are no exceptions to that. And I don't ever ask anybody to do anything that we already haven't talked about right here. So you learn 5 presentations. It's listing, pricing, FSBO, buyer, and investor. I provide you with video and audio of me demonstrating them. So you learn them at your own pace. I don't care how quick a learner you are. I never graduated high school. I'm not a quick learner. And then just be very pure to those. Do not add to, do not subtract from. And then just be very pure to the Fearless Agent dialogues on the phone. Get every single tiny bit of any poisonous Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Brian Buffini crap. Get all of that out of your head. Just be nice on the phone. Be a nice person. Care about the customer. All the presentations are designed not for you, but for your customer, so they get the right outcome. If you care about the people, the money will follow, you know, and you have the right skills. And then commit to the process. So this is the process. So I'm going to give everybody a goal, okay? I want you, let's say you want to do listings, because I'm just can't do both. So if you say, I would rather do listings than buyers, either only or mostly. And I had one of those days one day, maybe some of you can relate to this, when I said, if I never put one of these buyers in my car again, it's going to be, you know, it's like, I don't know what happened. It was unpleasant. And I think I told them to buy it and they didn't, something like that, something crazy, you know. And then I got rid of my lockbox key and I bought a Corvette. So they wouldn't even fit in it. I couldn't relapse on buyers. Best day ever. My wife thought I was nuts, but she came around to the Corvette. So best thing I ever did, because then I'm focused on one thing and one thing only, and what you do only you get great at, you know. So that was better. So here's the goal I would give, like the new guy that Dave I told you about. I gave him this goal. I gave him 2 goals. One was to be the #1 earning agent in his entire 300 agent company, which he has done part-time in only, he did that in 6 weeks, actually.
Wow.
And then the other goal was I wanted him to do 40 listings. So if I coached you, that would be, if you're full-time, I would say, I want you to do 40 listings, if your goal was to do listings mostly or only, in the next 12 months. Okay. So that would be in your price range, $500,000 gross closed commissions. It would be 250 or 240 roughly net taxable income, like it was a salary job with a company car, because you do get to write off your car. And the secret is that you don't commit to the goal. You don't commit to the 250. You don't commit to the 500. You don't commit to the 40. You commit to the process that guarantees that that's going to happen. And what is that process? It is you schedule 5 listings a week. So again, that's another goal. You don't commit to 5. You commit to not getting off the phone until you've scheduled 5. Well, how many calls is that going to take, Bob? Well, I don't really care. If it takes
whatever it takes.
If it takes 5 billion, that's great too. Because if you've scheduled 5 listing appointments, it's pretty likely, or I wouldn't be shocked if 2 of them were to cancel or stand you up. That happens. Then you'd go on 3. And if you only got 1 of the 3 and you charge 7% and keep 4, and you do that every week, then you're going to make 500,000 gross, 250 net. You'll do 40, and I'm giving you 8 weeks off. And here's why. Realtors are, there's 52 weeks in a year. Did you know that, Adam?
I did.
Yeah, but not in a realtor year.
No.
Because in Adam's year, there's like Jesus was only born on 1 day, but we over celebrate that even by his standards, don't you think? And then Adam's birthday is a 2-week extravaganza. Then I got to get him out of rehab or jail or something like that. So there's stuff. So we have to have days. So there's 8 weeks of non-working weekdays in any realtor year. And it also makes it a 10-month year, which makes the math easy for a dumb guy like me. But I do have an HP 12C.
There you go.
So then you just commit to that. So once you have the right words, when you have the exact right words to say in every real estate sales situation, either on the phone or face-to-face, and you care about the customer, and you don't care about getting the listing, you don't care about getting the offer written, you just care about the customer, and you're nice on the phone and nice face. Everybody's nice face to face, but on the phone is really where the magic has to happen. And then you put the systems in place to make it easy, like having an assistant. And so the funny thing is, there's a guy I coach in my town, and Scottsdale, Arizona is a very, very competitive market. More realtors per square inch. I went to the bank the other day and I said, "Hey, I want to cash a check." And she says, "Can I see your real estate license?" I said, "Well, don't you want my driver's license?" She goes, "Well, not everybody has one of those."
That's right.
Well, there's a lot of realtors. So, I forgot what I'm doing the stupid joke, and now I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, and I just to kind of even summarize it in just a way, it's like you set a goal. I mean, you got to have some kind of attainable goal or something you're reaching for, the 500,000 or whatever that may be. But that's not really where your focus is going to be. Your focus, you're taking that and working backwards, and then addressing each one of those categories you said at the very beginning, right? It's all about those things that are the stepping stones that you're implementing to get to that result.
Yeah, the schedule is also the secret. Always eat lunch at noon if you can. This tip will double your income for the year that I'm about to say. Okay, so most agents are not doing lunch at the same time every day. So eat lunch at noon. Take your phone and leave it in the car when you eat lunch. So if Adam and I went to lunch, which will happen someday.
Right.
We're going to Skyline Chili, Adam. I don't know if you know that.
I'm in, man.
Gold Star.
Well, no, we have to let you try to Gold Star.
I don't know about that Gold Star. We might go to Gold Star. I like to try new things. I'm kind of stuck in a rut. But we go to Skyline Chili. We're going to leave our phones in the car, and then Adam and I will look at each other and talk to each other and look around the restaurant at all the losers who are typing at each other, right? Yeah. So we have a nice little me time lunch. Then we eat dinner at 5 p.m. Now, what that allows us to do is start prospecting at 9 a.m., not be hungry or cranky because we had lunch. I can do a 2:30 p.m. listing appointment, eat dinner at 5, and do a 7 p.m. listing appointment. I can list 2 in one day, and you can't do that any other way. It doubles your income for the year. So, I know what I was going to say. It's just, what was the name of that disease that... Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's.
So I have a guy that I coach in my town, and he did 162 listings last year, full commission at 7%, keeps 4. And so how many? Now that's 4 times 40, which is the goal I gave you guys. So he did 4 times as many listings. He also got paid $80,000 in referrals from referring buyers out to other quality agents that he trusts. And So how many listings appointments would he have to schedule a week to do 160 if it takes 5 scheduled to do 40? Should we play that Jeopardy music now?
Wish I had it programmed.
5. He still only has to schedule 5 because I've taught him how to never have anybody cancel, and he gets every single one he goes on. So you'll never have to schedule more than 5 to hit any level of production. And of course, he has an assistant and all that, but he does more business than teams of 10 or 15 people and makes way more money with just him and one assistant. And that's the fearless agent secret. You don't need a bunch of complicated junk. You just need the right skills, the right schedule, and the right systems. And then everything's going to be, and you have to put up with my stupid jokes. So there is that.
Hey, that's fine. You got to break up the monotony of systems and processes sometimes. I mean, you got to have a little bit of humor in business. I mean, my goodness. So, well, Bob, thank you so much. I mean, there's a lot of nuggets here of tips and ways that agents can help. So, guys, there will be a link to his podcast, YouTube channel, and his website. So if you are interested in learning more about the Fearless Agent, you can read that in the description and in the notes.
Let me just mention one other thing, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you are out there and I don't recommend people change companies, okay? But if you're thinking of changing companies, please talk to Adam at Century 21 Advantage. Okay. I look back on one of the great decisions that I make. You know, life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you options. And sadly, most people will choose the wrong option every time. It's easier. It doesn't take any commitment. They have a better split, some kind of baloney like that. Not all of that doesn't matter. If you go to Century 21 Advantage, if you're already there, for goodness sake, stay there. You're very lucky to be there. And if you're not there yet and you consider going there, if you're not happy where you are, for goodness sakes, go talk to Adam and he'll
I so appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. Really, sincerely, I do appreciate that. You know, we are definitely in this. We love our agents. We're there for them. That's the whole reason we're even having this show, is to bring people to them to provide value back. So I really do appreciate that, Bob. And thank you for coming on. Really welcome. Do appreciate that as well.
I'm going to stay on and listen and make sure you guys don't screw anything up.
That's fine. You know what? And you can just wave your arms in the backstage.
That lady that's on next, is she the one that went to high school with me?
Yes.
She is.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
So that'll be awesome. Yeah, hang out, and then at the end, we'll bring you guys both up together, and you guys can hash that back out.
Yeah. Thanks,
Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.